Good morning, Krishna.
Good. How
How's
are
it
you?
going?
It's good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just really excited because one, you are closing off season two, and actually, season three doesn't come till 2026. So you
That's
are,
incredible. Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
It's
Um,
incredible.
yeah, this is also so exciting because you are just so multi-talented, and I feel like you have so many things to, you know, teach us about. So everybody, this is Krishna, and what's the word? The mastermind behind Serenade My Soul. And, and
I appreciate that.
yeah, you're a mix uh artist. Oh, no.
Yes, I'm Krishna. I am the mastermind behind Serenade My Soul. Also, I love that. I'm definitely going to use that going forward versus like the creator. Um, I'm a mixed media artist and I focus on grief, growth, and connection in my artwork, but through the lens of self-love. And then all my written work focuses on decolonization, anti-capitalism, and accessibility.
Wow,
At
that's
least that's what I believe. That's where I've landed at this current plot point in my life. I'm like, yes, these are the important things. Um, and yeah, I love your podcast. I love using data like in my own life. I think it reminds me of like seventh grade science.
oh.
Like you do like little science projects, you have like your control and you have your variables and you just like see what happens. And I didn't go into STEM. And so like I don't know, I just didn't think I was like smart enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Smart enough.
yeah.
We're
And
always smart enough.
I appreciate that. And so to be an artist and then see that they turn STEM into STEAM, I'm like, ooh, I belong. Um, and so yeah, I was excited to talk to you about cycle syncing specifically, which I think we're seeing more about in mainstream. Are you familiar with it?
Actually, I am not sure what that is until you
Okay.
mentioned it. I guess like I mean, obviously I'm gonna ask you like what that is, but also like uh how is this related to your becoming an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll definitely share that. So, let's see. It started with me becoming a mom.
Oh,
I feel like a lot of it starts with something big, right? Like I became a mother, I have twin daughters, and it was a hard time. Parenting is like no joke. It's definitely not for the weak, and I was weak. I was weak. It was a tough time, and so I would have like these huge like crashes in productivity, and I wasn't able to like maintain habits or reach my goals, and there was just a lot of like negative self-talk even when it came to my art. So I started painting probably roughly like 10 years ago, but like very casually, just taking classes and trying to see what I was interested in. Then in 2020, one of my friends hired me for a commission, and I was like, ooh, this is so fun. It
wow.
took me 18 months to finish my first commission.
Hey, it's a big deal.
It was a big deal, but it was such a great like invitation and opportunity to like take myself seriously and be like, oh, I can do this. And there's something so amazing about your friends supporting you that just creates such like a cushion of comfort. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like you can be kind of transparent of like, hey, I'm actually having a hard time with this or whatever. And they're like, yeah, no problem. Take your time. And it just
Oh.
reduces a lot of tension. Um, So after I finished her commission and I'm trying to balance out like, okay, how do I do full-time art with two young children? And also I'm having a hard time just mentally maintaining peace or joy, right? Um, and I was having a conversation with my husband and it was just like, I don't know if I wanted to go on I think it's called SSRIs, which is like the antidepressant that you take only for a certain phase of your cycle.
Okay.
Or like anti-anxiety. I don't know, there's like a specific medicine. I'm like, I don't know. Let's just let me try like the holistic vibe first and see what's up. And I heard about cycle syncing through TikTok, which is basically where you track your cycle and you support yourself through all different phases of your cycle. So your bleed, follicular, ovulation, and luteal. And I started tracking it and I was like, oh, this is fascinating because I realized like a lot of my anxiety and a lot of my depression, and also I would fall off my art projects. I would fall off my goals. I would be plagued with like doubt and self-judgment all during my luteal.
Mm.
And so through tracking that data of myself, I was able to find these trends and themes of how I was treating myself and then correct them. And I think I've been cycle syncing since 2022.
Okay, wow.
So it's been a couple of years and I don't collect as much data as I did in the beginning. And even in the beginning, it was very simple. It was appetite, the quality of my sleep, so the time I fell asleep and the time I woke up, overall mood, and then any extra notes for that day. But those were the basics. And it was really important to me to focus on like the foundational stuff because I think we overlook basic nutrition and rest when it comes to anything, really. We're just like, no, it's fine. Coffee, energy drink, whatever. We
Wow.
rally. And so as I was able to gain more insights into myself and how I operate, I was able to really focus on the type of art that I wanted to create. Because
Hmm.
I'd be on Instagram and you'd see like all these amazing artists and like the the time lapse videos. Oh my God, they would mess me up every time because I'm like, how are they painting so fast? Like I know it's sped up, but you still see it and I'm like, there's no way. Or that account is like posting every day and I'm like, I can't even remember to drink 8 glasses of water every day, you know? And so there was just like so much judgment and tension around just like trying to reach these goals.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different, right? Some
Yeah.
people, they, even with writing or I guess painting, I, don't- I know a little bit more about the writing than the painting. So there's a
Yeah, yeah.
with writing here, except for like, have these routines. Like, I write 4 hours a day, or
Yeah.
protect that time, which is amazing for you. Sounds like a privilege.
Yeah.
Um, and they write something whether it's good or bad.
Mhm.
That works for some people, but then other people that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you have, like aside from just personality, but if
Mhm.
you're also like neurodivergent, like imagine having ADHD and sitting down for 4 hours and writing like every
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
the novelty would wear off. So then I feel like you have to like, well, not everybody, but some people, some artists, you have to adapt to, you know, your mood, how you're feeling, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's amazing that you started doing this. And actually, like you mentioned, you keep track of everything. How do you keep track of things? Like, do you have a journal or do you like use an app?
Yeah. So I have an app that I use for just like I started my period, I ended my period, and that's it. I used to track like symptoms like cramps or chills, but I never went back and looked at the data. The only time I ever looked back in an app is if I'm at the doctor's and they're like, oh, when was the first date of your last period? And I'm like, let me look it up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so tracking on apps doesn't work for me because it's hard for me to see it like all kind of like laid out.
the full picture.
Right. And then also the things that the app asks you may not be what you're trying to track,
Mm.
right? Like I don't necessarily want it, like I didn't really want to know I had the chills. Like that, okay, I'm gonna put more layers, I'm gonna pump the heat, whatever. Like that wasn't important information for me.
It sounds very like clinical, like medical, right?
Right. And so I think it's like, okay, what do you like? I wanted it's like, okay, I know I'm better when I sleep well. So am I sleeping well?
Mm.
Um, and so I had created like a basic layout in my own journal, and then I did turn it into like a design like journal. This is one of my covers.
Oh, wait, what does it say? I was not made to be subtle. Oh.
Yeah. This is for my strong-minded girlies out there that are just like, yeah, I'm on my period, what about it? My free bleeders, right? And so my tracking like layout pages are very simple. Ooh, it's so blurry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
kind of. It's okay. No,
But
but
it's just it has your date and it has the day of your cycle, right? So the first day of your bleed, like the day you start your period, is day one. And then you just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until you bleed again. Then you start over. Your phase, there's an average. So like you have your bleed could be anywhere from 5 to 7 days. I know some bleed for 3. I know some bleed for 10, depending on like PCOS and what you've got going on. But the averages are, I mean, you can find them everywhere. I think follicular is like 5 to 7 days, maybe even 7 to 10. Ovulation can be 3 to 5 days. And then luteal can be anywhere up to like 14 days. And so I have like this one is a little bit more nourishing. This is like give yourself credit, celebrate yourself. Like, what did you do well today, or what did you accomplish, or what did you manage? Just so you have that. And then you have a section that says, I feel. And what was like were you tired? Were you irritable? Were you antisocial? Did you cancel plans? Your water intake, and then you can also write like how you sleep. And then in the beginning, there are like larger trackers.
Mm.
And so you have like decision making. This is each of your cycle and then each day. So this is a 300, like this is a 1 year journal.
Wow.
You can
Wow.
track 12 cycles in here. So you can really like, and I did it this way so you can go back and you can look at trends
Yeah.
and
Wow.
easily see. And then everything's gray. That's why you're having a hard time seeing it. And I did it gray so that people could add color and really make it their own. But that means it doesn't show well on podcast interviews.
Okay, because you know what? We can like if you have the link for this, like we
Yeah.
can definitely add it on. But that is just amazing to me, especially um it sounds like a more holistic, you
Yeah.
know, perspective or trying to get a holistic perspective of you, not just while you have your period, but maybe like afterwards or
Oh,
before.
yeah.
Um, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's great because go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, oh, no, no, go ahead. I was just amazed.
No, I appreciate that. So the beginning of the journal has like a how-to and it breaks down like how to use it. And then it also has like foods for the seasons, which is like the ideal foods to eat depending on your phase. Like they are more supportive depending on what's going on with you before it starts the tracking. And what I want to say is that like I see a lot of marketing out there when it comes to cycles, thinking of like you lose weight by syncing your workouts to your cycle or close more sales calls when you're ovulating, like don't book that pitch for when you're luteal. And it's like yes and no, like that takes a certain amount of privilege to like take time and like block off your calendar because you're luteal or on your period or whatever it may be. But I think sometimes there's a bit of like disconnect when you attach, like I call them capitalistic goals or colonized goals to a holistic approach. And I feel like we see more of these things in mainstream now, like cycle syncing and mental health support and even like the neurospicy stuff. And it's because there's so many different ways to make money off of it.
Yeah,
But I don't think that it helps the consumer gain insight into themselves, like intentional insight.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
for
So
sure.
like when I started living per my cycle, which is like I get luteal insomnia. This is a personal thing that I have experienced. When I'm in my luteal phase, I have so much trouble falling asleep. I'll be up until 2:30, 3 o'clock. And you put a good book in my hand because I'll be like, oh, I'll just read myself to sleep. No, there is no sleeping,
Oh,
right? And then I'm irritable and cranky. And then when you're irritable and cranky, you make bad decisions. So you're not eating properly, all these things, right? Like it just like I was gonna say cascades, but that doesn't feel like the right word. Um, it compounds, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm luteal. Like I know today I'm day 25. So I was like, I need to make sure I get sleep before I have this interview. And so last night I made sure I went to bed early. I did my whole like sleep hygiene routine and I was like well rested. I woke up, I was like, breakfast, so you don't have brain fog and you actually make sense when you talk in this interview, just like all these things. Um, But because of that, because I'll make sure that I do get the rest, I'm able to make better choices. I'm able to be like, oh, I'm luteal and I'm tired. So maybe instead of getting all 10 things done today, I can get 5 of them done and push these other 5. And I can be kind to myself about it. It's not about being lazy. It's not about making up excuses or whatever it may be. And it just for me, it results in a more regulated nervous system, which allows me to create artwork and journals and writings that feel more aligned. And I love using my data to better serve myself when I know that everyone else is trying to collect my data to manipulate me.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, what do I know about me? What are my values? What are my intentions? And then when it came to my artwork, I was like all over the place. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do digital downloads. Maybe I'll offer free like wallpaper. Like maybe I'll paint florals all the time because they get really good engagement on Instagram, right? And I was like, well, I don't want to. Like I actually want to paint heavier things. I want to paint things that stop and make people think. I want to paint things that make people feel empowered. Um, and cycle syncing has allowed me to get a better sense of myself so that I know what it is that I want to do. And I'm not taking in external messaging and just like flopping around in the wind in whatever direction happens to be going on. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if you've ever had a time in your life where you feel like wishy-washy, where you're just like, oh, I can't decide. Like, I don't know what I want. And I feel like when you don't know what you want, it may be because you don't know enough about yourself.
Hmm. Wow.
Sorry, I was talking a lot, but I'm really passionate about this.
I'm just wow. I said it. Wow. Um, I love the fact that, you have taken this upon yourself to know more about yourself so that you can like literally like live your best life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're optimizing all the conditions. Like obviously we can't control everything, but you can have a more awareness of like what your body's going through, so then you can align that with like your goals and mood and everything for day by day or even like hour by hour. So I think that's powerful.
Thank you.
And I also love the fact that, yeah, you instead of giving away your data, like you're collecting your own data and you're using it as like this tool for,
Yeah.
self-empowering yourself, basically. Um, so wow, wow.
Because like when I'm well rested and well fed, I'm not impulse buying shit online. You know what I mean? Like
That
I'm
should be a t-shirt.
honestly like when I feel rested and fulfilled and I'm steadily working towards my goal and my nervous system is regulated, I'm not looking for external dopamine hits. So it's just like there's like these small things of just like, oh, my life feels so much more peaceful because I know who I am and I know what I need. And there's also that like, you know, I'm first generation, eldest daughter, immigrant parent situation, right? So like resting, oh, like it took a lot of work to get to a point where I was like, I can rest. I don't have to earn this. It's okay, you know? Um, but I do it because it makes me a better mother and I can like model this for my children. And growing up, when I started my period, it was like, here's your pad. Let me know if you need Advil. Make sure you wrap it up properly when you throw it in the trash. And that was it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like there was like nothing else, So I love the idea that if I can learn as much as I can about this, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm just like reading and taking in information and then trial and airing it for whatever works for me. But I can like tell my children like, hey, this is what's happening to you. Like it's okay. A quick story. I was part of a fit fam for a while. Like I was going to the gym and I would do doubles. I would go at 5 in the morning and then I would go again, I think at like 10 or like do an afternoon class. Cause I was
Wow.
like, I want to lose weight. Like I was like that's all like it's always been my goal. I think since like eighth grade, it was always like be skinnier. And I remember I joined this fit fam and I'm on Herbalife, like doing the shakes, doing the keto diet, all the things. And I remember it was in the middle of a set and I couldn't finish the set. And I was so like I started crying. And I remember walking out, it's like catch my breath and I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Like I was able to do it last week. Why am I having so much trouble to like this? The amount of like detrimental self-talk was insane. And looking back, it was like, girl, you were luteal. You were not supposed to be doing high intensity interval training on that day of your cycle.
Wow.
And I think like the awareness of that would have allowed me to be so much nicer to myself because a lot of like these coaches, they don't know,
I
right? They don't know that like your cycle and your ability or like maybe they're like now they're starting to know and they're gonna like I see a little bit of marketing around that too.
know.
But one, it impacts every body differently. So like the exercise and the energy and the amount of endurance and everything that I'm capable is different every single day of my cycle.
Wow. Wow.
Um, so yeah. Like everyone should know themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't, it's harder to set goals
Yeah.
because that really requires a lot of awareness. So if you set goals, you don't fully know yourself, how are you going to execute? Or how
Right.
do you know that's what you really want,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like this is another step towards like knowing more about yourself because guess what? Guess who's living by themselves or their lives? You.
Yeah.
You. I mean, you could have partners and children and pets, but they're
Right.
not gonna be with you like 24/7. So I feel like yeah, the faster you get to know yourself, and that's even wrong because like you're always evolving too. But the
Yeah.
faster you like accept this that like, hey, I really have to sit and like know myself and accept me
Yeah.
in the present, in the past, and like whatever I evolve to in the future. I feel like the faster you know that, the easier it will be for you to like live your best life, you know.
Absolutely. Or
Uh
at least like make steps towards it. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like I
exactly.
had like a lot of my goals and my dreams in life weren't mine. They were inherited, right? Like they were what I was told growing up. It's what I saw. It was keeping up with the Jones. It was what I thought I needed to attain to be of value in like my friends circle and my community. But none of those things were true. Now, some communities do operate like that. Some friend groups do operate like that. But it was like, do you want to be a part? Like, is that where you want to be?
Yeah, if that's what you want, then great. But
Yeah. But
no,
at least be aware of it, right? Like, if you're like, yeah, this is like, I want to play this game, by all means, I love it. I love someone who is fully aware. Like, people are messing, like, corporate, I think corporate's a big game. And people who do really well in corporate, I'm like, one, wow, incredible, because I could never. And two, like, you are really good at playing this game.
and that comes with the awareness if you want to go that
Right.
route. And that's totally fine, you know.
Right.
We all
But if you're playing the game and then you're going to happy hour every night and you're using your weekends to escape and you're not feeling fulfilled, you're not happy, you may end up with a midlife crisis of like, what am I, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Then that game is not for you.
Wow. Wow.
And so I think there is like this huge push to put people in certain categories and be like, this is the only way to make money, earn a living, be happy. But if it doesn't work for you, it's not that there's something wrong with you, it's just that's not meant for you. And I think for me, that was a huge thing as well because I was in corporate and then I could like, I was in corporate, I was working at a French bank that had a headquarters in New York, and we moved to California, and I had such a hard time getting another corporate job. And it was a lot of like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Everyone else can do this. And then, whenever we go, oh, what do you do? And I was like in between work and like just all of the layers of that. And it was like, I went into consulting, but I wasn't making Tim Ferriss money, I'm maybe aging myself with that reference, but it wasn't like I was balling until I fall out. So it's just, I'm glad I started when I started. Do I wish I had started earlier? Yeah, absolutely. But everything, happens for a reason.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, actually, like I have like 10 million questions in my mind right now.
Yeah.
Um, and and I do want to go into like this time period of like your pivot. But before I do that, I want to go back to the journal
Yeah.
and also like because you had mentioned you don't want to give your data. So I'm assuming, or maybe I'm not assuming, I'm asking, the journal, is there a digital version of that or it's for now print?
It's only in print. There are like out in the wild, like Google Sheet templates for cycle syncing, Notion templates, like if that's your thing. I've tried. I created like a mood tracker, creativity tracker at the beginning of the year, and I think I was able to stick with it for like 4 months and then I fell off. And I was like, this is just and again, it wasn't like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I was like, oh, this isn't for me. Like I like to track in my journals. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely like it's a person to person thing,
yeah.
but you know, I'm an elder millennial. I'm a senior. I'm a geriatric millennial. Um, and like so this is before Kindle and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like I can do both, but
Right.
I love a physical book. I love a physical calendar, a physical journal. For work, I obviously use the digital calendars,
Yeah.
but I do love that there's a physical version of the book. Um, and also because you can keep it, especially right now in these times where you don't know where they're selling your data, and this period trackers actually like people have like suggested them to me.
Hmm.
It's also because like you would go to the doctor and they'd ask like when was your last period?
Right.
And so I think I did try to start one and it was just too much like stuff, and I'm like, so I just do like a notes app
Nice.
but the first day of like for that month. And that's it.
Right.
Because I'm like for my purpose, like what was
Yeah.
for a doctor, I just go to that like note and I'm like, oh yeah, it was this day. Um Otherwise, like, I don't know, I didn't like every other information that was given to me, like it wasn't relevant to me.
Right.
But also, with the whole what's going on in our society,
Hmm.
um, where your life could be in danger now because potentially, you know, uh,
Absolutely.
because potentially they could go to these apps and, see like this person could be um pregnant or what, and then how come they're not pregnant anymore? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I already know. But
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think like some stores are allegedly, I don't know if this is true, so please no one quote me on it, but like they're tracking your purchases,
hmm.
which makes sense. They're gonna do that for ads anyways. I don't know if you, oh, did you ever hear about when like Target knew that this teenager was pregnant before her parents knew or whatever? So like based on her buying patterns, they were like, "Oh, she's most likely expecting." And then this household started getting baby promotional material.
Oh,
And it was before anyone really like I don't think she knew and her parents were like what like none of them were expecting, so it was like very confusing and then it turned out that she was pregnant. And yeah, so anyways, and so they were like, oh, they could be collecting like, oh, how often do you buy tampons and pads and things like that? And I'm just like, you
wow.
know, the amount of things that we need to do is like reusable pads and cups and inserts and things like that. But yeah, there is like they're always going to be out there collecting your data. Like that's always going to be true. Um, but I think collecting your own data to empower yourself and really get a sense of who you are so you know what you stand for and you won't fall for anything, is really just like the biggest motivator for me. Just like what's important to you.
Yeah, I mean, again, like the more you know yourself, the more you can make, informed decisions.
Yeah.
Um, and now, sorry, that was a,
No, you're
but I'm gonna go back to, um, your art and like your evolution, because I remember, we're also on Substack together, And I remember you working on this one painting where it was like there was a cage and it's kind of
Yeah.
like the evolution from like, a young person to a woman. Um, can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So
And I
through
know
my
the
cycle
link.
syncing,
I should
no,
probably put the link for that so people know what it looks like.
yeah, that'd be amazing. I appreciate that.
But I mean, do you have the painting with
Yeah,
you?
I do have the
Oh, you
painting.
do? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it's like right next to my desk because I'm about to release limited edition prints for it, so I'm really excited. But this is the painting that she's referring to.
Wow.
I don't know why it's so fuzzy. I'm so sorry. We'll put pictures somewhere.
Yeah, no, we'll put this, with the when we put this on Substack, we'll
Yeah.
definitely the link and stuff.
That'll be perfect. Yeah, so it's called Girl in the Cage, and it's essentially when I started cycle syncing, I realized a lot of my inner dialogue, my inner voice was rude. I was so mean to myself, like so mean to myself. And so through cycle syncing, I was able to identify like, okay, what's coming up and what do I need to like work on or address. Um, and so I started like my self-healing journey. Ooh. And through that and figuring out the type of art I wanted to create, I designed and painted Girl in the Cage, which is basically my representation of the healing journey. Is like you heal, you start healing where you are now. I don't want to say normally, but sometimes you are going through a stressful situation of like loss, grief, something, and it forces you to go get help and you start there in that current moment of what's happening current day, right? And then as you go or as you continue, um, you start uncovering things. And you'll realize like every version of you has some hurt, something that needs to be like addressed, loved, comforted. I don't want to say corrected, but just healed, acknowledged even. So Girl in the Cage is basically my iteration of that. You have the teenager, you have the child, and then you have the little toddler girl. And they're in this cage and there's no lock, and you have us as grown women on the outside looking in, determined to break them all out.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just kind of like this acceptance of this is a constant journey. This is forever evolving. Um, and then for me, like through motherhood, for it's I feel like it's gonna be constant because every age that my kids reach is gonna trigger something in me or little me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like as they have more privileges and more experiences and things like there is going to, like I'm going to have reactions to that. And so I need to continue to do the work so I can show up for them. And I also need to come to terms with, accept, and also have gratitude for the fact that I'm able to continue to do the work and not it be like, oh, why isn't this done yet?
Mm.
I think sometimes, especially as overachievers, we'll be like, oh, a to-do list, just cross it off and it's done. Cross it off and it's done. And some things are just not done. They're like laundry.
Or folding them.
Yeah, exactly. And so even like the acceptance of that, right? Like there's like these small changes of just like, you know what? I'm grateful to be able to wash my clothes and dress myself and just moving on. So,
Wow. Wow. Um, Thank you for, showing us your painting and breaking it down. Um, are these the kinds of themes that usually show up in your art, like your visual art? Essentially.
yeah. So I started with a lot of like florals and nature art because one, they're great practice, and two, the people love florals. People love landscapes. Um, and from there, I've also I've also realized like a lot of my healing can take lessons from nature. And so it's been really nice to kind of see the connection of those two and versus it being like, oh, I was just doing this art to like get Instagram famous or whatever ridiculous notion I had way back when. Um, but now I have a lot more intention behind my pieces. And so Girl in a Cage is going to be the first limited edition print that I release. And then I have a piece called Cradled Between Here and Jannah, which is just kind of like, I don't want to say like a tribute or an honoring, but just like a witnessing of what's happening in Gaza with the moms and their, just all the things, which isn't for sale because I feel like that goes against my value system. So I'm looking for a place to donate that to. And then the next series that I'll be working on is called The Hands That Hold Us. And when my babies were born, they were born at 33 weeks. So we have like NICU pictures and things like that. And they're just like so tiny. Like their whole hand fits like right here. So it's basically just like those really intimate moments of like all the hands that hold us, throughout our lives that carry us through this journey. So
Wow. Wow, thanks for sharing that. Like something you said kind of struck me like from a few minutes ago.
yeah,
Like you're also trying to make sure that you'll be able to accept like your children, through the changes they're going through. Because it's like
yeah,
this parent and child, like this parallel changes that they're going through, right?
yeah,
And so like the relationship does evolve like
right.
all the time, especially at that age because um they're so young. I guess I don't know what my question is here, but I just think that's awesome that you're thinking that way because I feel like a lot of times, well, first of all, I'm not a parent. I'm not a human parent. But there's this notion that like you teach your kids, the ways of life and then that's it.
Right,
Um and they're supposed to follow those rules or whatever.
right, right.
But it's like that's probably rarely the case. And so as a parent, like how do you then um adapt to like, you know, it's like this is what I want for my child.
Hmm.
And then that is not at all.
What they want for themselves. No, absolutely.
And I don't know if this is like a millennial like gentle parenting thing or whatever.
I think it's a conscious parenting thing, honestly. Like I think if you're being intentional about raising your kids, and that's not a judgment of anyone, okay? Like if you have the privilege, time, and intention to think about these things, it's like how do you want to do it, right? So my girls had speech delays, and that was really hard. They're neurospicy without divulging too much of their, diagnosis. But there has been a lot of like, oh, what would motherhood look like and what it is that I've already had to come to terms with from when they were younger. And I think that's where a lot of like also cycle syncing and like the healing has happened. But in terms of like, how do you approach your children and how do you guide them in this life, right? And so if we think about our parents and the way we grew up with AOL, right? Like my parents didn't know what I was doing in chat rooms. Did yours? You right? Like just like the discrepancy between knowledge and just what was happening at the time. And so I already know that my kids, like their tech and like the knowledge of that stuff is going to be so beyond my comprehension. So me thinking like, oh, I know better than you is already going to be like a no-go, right? Um, and so I try to focus on like what do I want them to have no matter what? And I want them to have a strong sense of self and confidence. And I think as long as they have that, then they will be able to figure out the rest of the way with however society looks like when they are of age. Because I don't know what's going to happen. We're living week by week over here in the States,
Pretty much
sometimes hour by hour. You know what I mean? Like, I like my mental health could never be like, okay, in 10 years, right? Like Ivy League colleges, this, like, I don't know what any of that is going to look like. Do I want them to have a college education and get a degree and be dope and have letters behind their name? Yes. But that's because I grew up with that kind of like, this is valuable and these people are amazing, right? Like, and I'm aware of this. I also know some of those people are hell of abusive, don't have good work-life balance, aren't very happy, right? Like, I hold all that information. And so for my kids, it's like, okay, who are you today? And how can I meet you where you are? And that's been like the biggest thing, especially when I call it shape shifting when they grow, because they'll grow overnight. I am not kidding. They will grow overnight. I'm just like, who are you and where is my baby? And they're just like, look at me and they'll laugh and they'll run away. And I'm like you are different. If I'm different than what I was last year or when you were first born, you're totally different than what you were last week or last month. And so I try to bring like a beginner's mindset. I try to always approach them with like a let me get to know you today. And I don't know, did you ever grow up and like you had like a favorite food and then your parent made it all the time and then it wasn't your favorite and they're like, well, you loved it last week, right? And it's like, "Yeah, that was last week. I'm a different person now, And that's such a simple example, but I think that constitutes for so many different things. And so it's like my priorities for them are health, hygiene, and education. Like I need you to read, write, I need you to be able to do your math. After that, let's see what you're interested in. Let's see how we can cultivate your identity, what makes sense for you and who you are as a person, and go from there. They're 7. I can't decide all that right now. I have to give them time to bake, to evolve, right? Like they need to get their periods, they need to grow into young adults, and so all I can do is love them and support them. And the other thing I'm also really trying to do is like not teach them, but show them. Because
Mm,
our parents, my parents stayed yelling at me, right? Like, don't do this and do that and don't do this. But like I saw what they did, and I have repeated what I saw more than what I was told.
mm.
So I hope that answered. That was really long. I'm sorry.
No, no, that is just so real. Oh, and I think that's a great way to close out episode, but also,
Mic drop on that note.
yeah. Um, can you tell us again, like your website? And obviously, we're gonna put it on the caption, but
Yes. So
like,
you can find me at serenademysoul.com. I'm also Serenade My Soul on Instagram. I'm probably the most active there, and then I have a Substack, but once you find me in one spot, you'll find the links to everywhere else.
nice. Well, I'm so glad we chatted. I'm gonna look up cycle. Um,
Cycle syncing.
is it phasing? No, cycle thinking. I look that up, and then I actually was just thinking, um, maybe I can give that journal to my cousin who's like about to go to college, like in a year.
Oh, nice.
That could be like
Congratulations.
super cool with like tracking emotions and your
Oh,
something we'd never ever think about.
right. And it's very basic. Like, I don't want to say basic as to like downplay it, but it's a very simple tracking method. So literally, it takes less than 5 minutes to
Wow.
go in at the end of the day or the beginning of the day and just mark it down. Because I know that's the biggest challenge people have is like,
You don't
I
have
don't have
time.
time. I'm not going to sit and do this. Like, put it at your bedstand or at your desk at wherever like you go to almost daily and track the days you can. But yeah, I think that'd be great. I love it for new bleeders or young adults because I'm like, oh my God, if I had this knowledge when I was in my early 20s, I feel like I would have been unstoppable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I need that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a great day and see you in all the socials.
Yeah, for sure. Bye.